Alphabet Man, tearing down the strongholds, exposing the darkness, wrecking the enemy's plans. Endurance till the end. It's time for the Alphabet Man Live.
Hey, good morning. This is JR from the Morning Huddle. David Arthur had a scheduling issue this morning and asked if I could help out, which I'm more than happy to do so. This morning, David is either in or preparing for a meeting with leaders of Evangelistic School that's considering having him come speak, so keep him in prayer for that. And this evening, he's in a meeting with two radio hosts from two different radio shows, so keep in prayer of that. And if you have the mind, consider contributing to his cause if you haven't already. Jared, I don't know whether you have any kind of link up there you can give for David's ministry, but it might help folks. And I don't know what you all want to talk about, but I think something happened yesterday, kind of a national event. I think they call it a midterm election. And by the way, I understand it broke a record for voter turnout. 100 million voters. And folks, like him or not, you got to give one Donald Trump responsibility and credit for the largest midterm election turnout ever. The greatest of all time. Or as our president might say, tremendous. I know. It's something we should really give Barack Obama credit for, right? Somehow, some way he was responsible for it, like he was for the economy. You know, I had some folks ask me what I thought about yesterday's election. And from what I can see so far, I think it's a fight that could be considered a split decision or maybe even a draw. Both sides got good blows in, but nobody was ever knocked down. I'm a businessman, and I look at issues like this from a business standpoint. And I also have a gift. And that gift is behind every rainbow, there's a cloud. And I look for those clouds. I'm not Pollyanna. I look for difficulty. But in business, that's what you need to do. In my previous years, in order to keep my head above water, I had to identify problems and then address them. And if you're a business owner or a business leader, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If I took it from a Pollyanna view of things, I wouldn't have stayed in business very long. And I was very good in business, folks. And because of that, and because of my gift, I've developed early on in life. But I really didn't know how important it was, especially now. I look at this election and other issues. I look at opportunity to change for the better. If we fix this or fix that or take care of this hurdle, then we can make things better. By the way, how many of you prayed at the polls with Kurt Knock or with your church over the last several months or weeks? And how do you think that worked out for you? I think most of you know who Kim Davis is. I was in Kentucky when Kim was thrown in jail. Kim held an elected office and stood up for natural marriage. And she was thrown in jail for her efforts. And after being harassed, bullied, falsely accused, she was finally exonerated. Or was she? I just heard this morning that she lost her bid for re-election. And she lost it to one of the sodomites that she refused to marry. I got to ask you, what does that tell us? This is Kentucky, folks. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. The biggest problems we have in America is a moral problem. Yesterday's election, to me, was just further confirmation that there's been a little change in that. In Colorado, they just elected a gay governor. My home state of Ohio, We just reelected a amoral socialist career politician throughout America. The list goes on. I think Michigan voted for a Democratic governor as well as recreational marijuana. So I think it kind of begs the question, morally, who still has more impact on American elections? Followers of Hugh Hefner or followers of Billy Graham? Again, although the fight was to a veritable draw, the champ is still moral relativism. And I believe the loser is once again America. Folks, we're in a public opinion war. And the midterm election yesterday is just a confirmation that we're still in the process of fighting and I think losing that war. Personally, I like what I see in Donald Trump. And no, you don't spell Donald Trump Jesuschrist or God. He's not perfect. But I think he's a perfect match for where we are in America and what we need in America. But because how he's packaged by the liberal news media, by the deep state career politicians, by educational systems, entertainment industry, many businesses, and even, yes, many churches. What do we hear about the president? Well, I hate his tweeting. He's rough. Really? Then, of course, he's continually being accused of being a racist, misogynistic, xenophobe, rich white guy, of course. What's the problem in America? What do they tell us? White guys, old white guys. And if they're Christians, yeah, we're even worse, aren't we? Everybody wants to be a good guy, and everybody's for the good guy. So that means there must be a bad guy. When you take a look at the Democratic Party, and this is tough, folks, this is really tough. How can you argue against Santa Claus? I mean, the Democratic Party, progressives, offer you everything. No self-reliance. If you need a house, you need food, phone, education, healthcare, we'll clear the way for you. And get those aforementioned rich white guys to pay for it. No problem, right? And can you imagine what it's going to look like for the next 2 years with Nancy Pelosi as a Speaker of the House? Or actually any communist as leader of the House of Representatives? Sadly, the next 2 years are going to be a comedian's paradise. The clash between soon-to-be Speaker Pelosi and Trump will make for lots of comedic fodder. There's one other thing that I watched in the election, but before I do that, Jared, do you have that clip on Pelosi? I'm going to give you some idea of what we're talking about for our next speaker. And this is just going to be more of the same, more accusations. It's just they've been running since President Trump got elected. They've been doing pre-election for this election that happened yesterday and the one that's coming up in 2 years. And the rhetoric is really going to pick up. And Nancy Pelosi is going to tell you exactly how they're going to do this. Go ahead, Jared.
And then we call it the wrap-up smear. Call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it.
We need to know, are we about to put somebody on the United States Supreme Court who committed a sexual assault?
I believe the survivor. I believe the woman.
I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up.
And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear.
All that time he was out fooling around with his buddies. And we know what that means, and it doesn't mean what he says it means.
A woman says the president's U.S. Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, assaulted her when she and Kavanaugh were both in high school.
There is evidence suggesting to her that he was part of the gang rape.
And then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
Anyway, who are you to talk about it? And tell all these women they don't know what they're...
So what do you think? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the accusations? Do you remember the hearing, Kavanaugh hearings? How much of that do you think we're going to see in the next couple years? And what is that going to do to the American public? Look at Democrats, progressives. They only have one thing to deal with, and that's emotions. They like Santa Claus, they promise you everything. And if they can't get it to you, the bad guy is the one that's saying, well, wait a minute, how are we going to pay for this? We're going to let everybody in the world open borders in the United States. Who's going to pay for that? Financially, but also physically, because there will be repercussions. Be it diseases, be it crime, be it monetary, money, geez, I don't know. I don't know how you can think about doing that. There's as much trouble we're in financially now to let these people in. Yet, they pull at your heartstrings. Mothers being separated from their children. These are deserving people. They're trying to escape persecution. But they are ditching in line, by the way. You know, there's people in the Middle East that are losing their lives, their virginity, their way of life, their respect, who should deserve to at least be in that line, if not the head of it. But because of location or opportunity, that's not happening. A lot of things coming down the pike that can be used to pull on those emotional strings. We have to be prepared for that. I don't know. Again, it does come back to morals. It really does come back to morals and what we're going to do and how responsible we're going to be as Americans. Go ahead.
I mean, like with the Pelosi, right? I was talking with my dad about this morning. We are openly admitting to moral depravity in the political realm and everywhere else. We are openly admitting. What did she just admitted? The smear thing. What is that? That's called lying. It's called deception. That's called dishonesty. That's called manipulation. These are all bad things that people should not do. And she's saying it's okay. Yeah, we do this. Yeah, it's just a tactic. It's just a tactic. No, it's not just a tactic. It's wrong.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Where does the responsibility lie here with regards to standing up, drawing a line in the sand? Now, most of you are going to say the church, and I think the church has a lot of culpability there. But I think that Pastor Dale, are you in the call with us this morning? If you are, unmute yourself, because I got a couple points or questions I want to make with you. Are you with us? He's not? Okay. He had mentioned something yesterday that on Coach's show that just startled me. He talked about his son, 19-year-old son, that has chosen to get married. that evidently had college football teams, including Alabama, after him. And for his son to make the decision of family over football, it just astonished me. And he said something else. He talked about his other son that went to college and how he kept close ties with that son. Whereas most of us, send our children off to college and complain about not hearing from them. Didn't get an email from them this month. What happens is that we have, and again, because I'm closely associated and aligned with the Natural Family Foundation, what we do, and Jared, you're talking to your father. That's incredible that you can have those kind of conversations with your father. It's just, I mean, I'm envious, very envious, but that should be the rule, but it's actually the exception to the rule. We give birth to our children here in America, and then when it comes time to educate them, we make sure that we move into the right communities so we can get them the proper education, so we can send them on to finishing school, colleges, to finish their liberal education. And then if we send them to high school, 12 years later, they send us back complete strangers. And if we send them on to college for 2 or 4 years, they're gone. And I don't know how close we're ever going to have to getting them to come back. And back is to the family, because the family is the key. That's the real problem we have in America. If you're going to fix the moral problem, morals need to emanate out of the home. And the leader in those homes should be the father. But we've lost that too. We've number one, we've limited the number of children in families. That's a bad thing to do. A bad thing to do. Number two, we've interrupted the order of the family. It should be, the Christian order is God, Jesus Christ, man, woman, children. But we have taken that vertical position and made it horizontal to where everybody's a God in their own rights. And then when we see kids out on college campuses tearing up things and burning things and breaking glass and being very disrespectful and throwing signs here and there, why are we surprised? When I see those kind of activities, the first question I ask is, where are their parents? Yeah, we got police that can enforce the laws, but parents should be teaching their children to respect those laws. And if the law doesn't suit what you fancy or what you've been told you need to fancy by government-run schools or by colleges, then you just don't obey them, right? Isn't that what we do? Just ignore the laws and hide. You know, one of the, getting back to the elections, one of the things I always watch in elections are taxes and school board issues. And in my area, there were 5 bond issues, levies that went up for schools. And all 5 of those passed. So what does that tell me? What does that tell you all? Education, business, government, church, family, media, entertainment. They all, we're in a public opinion war. We are in a public opinion war. That's what all this is about. That's why they spend millions, if not billions of dollars to get their candidate elected, because they still need the American opinion. They need public opinion to serve them, to support them. Right now, because we don't really have a good solid moral base, we as conservatives, as Christians, don't really have a place to argue, because morals are relative, right? What's right, what's wrong? What's right to you may not be right to me, and that's okay. Just as long as we get along and we're diverse and we don't argue with each other. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And when we're in the minority and when we're swimming upstream all the time, we lose a lot of good people. And I don't know how many this election people we're going to lose. I mean, I'm going to be at a Tea Party meeting on Tuesday of next week. And at best, and I'm in a fairly large community, we might get 10 people there, 15 people there. Will this election change that? If it was a blue wave, would it have changed it? If it was a red wave, would it have changed it? Don't know. But what we're going to have to start doing in these Tea Party meetings and these other organizations we're with is we're going to have to, number one, start educating people, which we do. I mean, a lot of groups out there educate people. But after they educate them, they don't demand. Well, first of all, they don't find out where they've been educated. They don't even test them. For all they know, they've been entertained. And then they're going to go home and they're going to sit and watch the world on the TV and have their favorite adult beverage. And that's the end of it. That's their activity. My goodness, I mean, if you can't get 2, 3, 4, 5 people or more, if you can't get more than that to go to a flagpole and pray, what should you expect? I understand where 2 or more gather in my name. I understand that. But what should you expect? What God's looking down at this, and what is he thinking? He judges nations. And I think we're in for a rear end kicking here fairly soon. Can it be avoided? Maybe. But we certainly got to make some different decisions. Again, we have a moral problem in America. And we've got, man. Can you bring up that Estes tape for us, Jared? Chad Estes who is in on the Morning Huddle, does a great job, and he just put this out with regards to the election. And I think it really tells it like it is, what we really do need to hear. Because, like I said before, this is a moral issue in America, and it's a participation issue. We can't just say, point our finger at the pastors or at our representatives or at our neighbors, because you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. If you're not participating, and that could be something as simple as you calling your representative, your newly elected representative, and saying to them, "Hi, my name's JR. You can use my name if you want, I don't care. Hi, my name's JR. Congratulations on being elected. I'm in your district. I have a lot of friends. I'm in these organizations. Again, I just wanted to let you know how happy I am you're elected." And what you're telling them is that you're watching, that you have their number. And if by the end of that individual's 2-year term as a representative or 6-year term as a senator, if they don't know your number or who you are, I mean, just something as simple as that, or you can become the president of a Tea Party or form your own group or get involved with the Salt and Light Brigade. But for God's sakes, do something, because, for evil to flourish, like they say, good men and women need only do nothing. Go ahead, Jared, if you would please play chat.
Did your state turn red or blue? Or who even cares? Or does it matter? Stay tuned. In today's political environment, our elections paint us into one corner or the other, red or blue. And depending on what side of the fence you're on, you're generally opposed to somebody that's on the other side of the fence. See, this paradigm is flawed. We don't have enough choices. If you go to get toothpaste, you've got at least 10 choices of types of toothpaste. But for politics, really, you only have 2 liable political contenders, Republicans and Democrats. And each election cycle goes through, and really, they're all vying for power, and it's just like a soap opera. It's not even viable for our country anymore. It's really not. we're not able to get anything done because it becomes about the Republicans blocking the Democrats blocking the Republicans. And if you have libertarians or independents or a Green Party or whatever parties in there, there's not enough of them to be able to get anything done. So they usually swing to one party or the other with the vote. Okay, so now the election is over. The red and blue paradigm is in place. We've got the balance again. The House and Senate have been decided and all that, okay? Now, at last I checked, these migrants they're still coming up from the border. They didn't stop to take part in the election. Now, maybe some did illegally. I don't know. But we still have the FISA document out there. We still have Q getting ready to release some stuff. We still have allegedly 50,000 sealed indictments that we're waiting to find out what's going on. Get over the red and blue and let's get some results. Let's get something going. Let's get some justice back in this country. But don't expect the justice to come from a political solution. This country needs repentance. That's the only way we're going to fix things.
Thanks, Jared. Repentance. Why would we need to repent? We need to repent because what I said earlier in the show, we definitely have a moral issue in America. Our schools, the news media, entertainment, government are teaching children what their moral base should be or shouldn't be. And that morals are relative. We have gay marriage in this country. We have abortion. We have government agencies that are coming in and taking children out of natural homes and putting them in unnatural homes. And some of those children are dying as a result of that, but we don't hear about that. We have pornography issues, infidelity issues, divorce on demand. I don't know. To me, that doesn't look like an America that made a bond with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't know what you think, but I'm really concerned. And as far as sealed indictments and all those other hopes that we have in politicians, it's like Chad said, this really does depend on us. And God will assist us, but we have to help him to assist us. What's the saying? The Lord helps those that help themselves. And that's where I'm coming from. I do not want this to sound as negative as it's coming across, but I got to be honest with you. I want you to be realistic about what we're looking at. Take a good hard look at it and then commit yourself to being an agent of change. We can do it at the voting booth, yeah, but if we wait that long, as you saw on Tuesday, we might be just a tad late. I mean, there's people that are running for election that I voted for, and I mean, I had a clothespin and a blindfold on. A pin on my nose and a blindfold over my eyes. But you got to do what you got to do when you got to do it. So anyway, I appreciate David Arthur giving me the opportunity to talk today, and I appreciate you listening today. I know you're all busy, and I wish David, all the Davids, the guys that are down in Florida, doing all that good work, and again, support them and get to know your servants. This is JR filling in for the Alphabet Man. Thank you. Have a blessed day.